Welcome to Remote Learning Lesson 21, Creating Equivalent Fractions with Multiplication. The LEQ for today's lesson is, how can you show equivalent fractions? The objective is, I can create equivalent fractions using multiplication. Let's review some key terms. Fraction. A fraction is part of a whole. The numerator is the part which actually represents the top number of your fraction. The denominator is the whole, which represents the bottom number of your fraction. Equivalent fractions are fractions that are equal but look different. Problem number 1 is creating equivalent fractions with multiplication. So here are some steps. Step 1, you're going to pick any number, but you can't choose 0 or 1. You're going to use that number for step 2 because you're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by that number that you chose. And this is what I mean. Here's our example, 2/3. If I were going to pick a number, I'm going to pick a number that I can multiply very easily. And the numbers that I can multiply very easily are 2, 5, and 10. So if I'm going to pick 2, I would say I'm going to multiply 2 times 2 and 3 times 2. Because whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So to create an equivalent fraction for 2/3, I'm going to multiply 2 times 2 and I'm going to get 4. And when I multiply 3 times 2, I'm going to get 6. So my new fraction says 4/6. I can say that 2/3 and 4/6 are equivalent fractions. Let's try it again with my other favorite number, which is 5. 2/3 times 5. So 2 times 5 is 10, and 3 times 5 is 15. Let's try it again with my third favorite number to use, which is 10. 2/3 times 10. 2 times 10 is 20, and 3 times 10 is 30. Let's move on to problem number 2. Problem number 2, we're going to create an equivalent fraction with 4/5. You can choose any number you want. You just cannot use 0 or 1 because when you multiply by 0, you're going to get 0 for the numerator and the denominator, so they will not be two different numbers. And 1, you'll actually get the same exact fraction. So you have to choose something other than 0 and 1. Make sure you try not to choose something super big and super fancy. Make sure you're using a number that you can multiply by. My example is going to be 3. I'm going to multiply 4/5 times 3. And 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 3 is 15. You can use whatever one you want. I have another one that I can use. I'll use times 7. 4 times 7 is 28, and 5 times 7 is 35. Again, you did not have to use my examples. You could use whatever one you want. Let's move on to problem number 3. Problem number 3 has 2/7. Again, choose whatever number you want, just can't use 0 or 1. You could use any of my favorites, which are 2, 5, and 10, or you can use 4, which I'm going to use for this example. 2 times 4 is 8, and 7 times 4 is 28, so 8/28 is equivalent to 2/7. I have one more example to show you for this problem number 3. I'm going to use 6. 2 times 6 is 12, and 7 times 6 is 42, so 12/42 is equivalent to 2/7. Problem number 4. This problem looks a little bit different from the first 3 problems because you're actually going to be solving the missing portion. So the direction is find the missing numerator or denominator by multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same number. So right now we know the problem says 6/7 equals 12 something. So 6 times something gives me 12. 6 times 2 gives me 12. So you know that the rule is whatever you multiply to the top, you need to multiply to the bottom. So 7 times 2 gives you 14. So the equivalent fraction of 6/7 is 12/14. Let's try problem number 5. In problem number 5, you have 2/9 equals 8 something. 2 times what gives you 8? 2 times 4 gives you 8. So if you multiplied your numerator by 4, you're going to multiply your denominator by 4, and 9 times 4 gives you 36. Let's try problem number 6. For problem number 6, we're missing our numerator. So our 3/5 is multiplying something to get something over 15. And 5 times 3 equals 15. So if you multiply by 3 on the bottom, whatever you do to the bottom, you need to do to the top. And 3 times 3 gives you 9. So 3/5 is equivalent to 9/15. Let's move on to problem number 7. For problem number 7, you're missing your numerator as well. So 4/12 equals something over 48. So let's look at the bottom. Look at our two denominators. 12 times what gives you 48? 12 times 4 gives you 48. So whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So 4 times 4 gives you 16. So 4/12 is equivalent to 16/48. This slide is a copy of your problem set. I wanted to show you this because on your problem set, there was a little bit of an issue with questions 4, 5, and 6. On question 4, 5, and 6, it should look like this. It doesn't actually look like that on yours, so I would love for you to fix yours so it looks like mine. Question 4 says 2/3 equals 6 over something. So go ahead and cross out that number that's there on question 4. You're missing your denominator. For question 5, it says 1/7 equals 4 over something. Please make that be blank so that you can fill it out. And question 6, 9/10 equals something over 20. Go ahead and make sure that there's a blank space over that 20. I'm sorry that there was a mistake. Please go ahead and fix that now. Now it is your turn to complete your problem set and application problem independently. Please complete both and send me a picture. You can text me, email me, remind me, send me a message in Google Classroom. It doesn't matter how you send it, it just needs to come to me to get credit for this lesson. I can't wait to see your work and I can't wait to see you again. Bye, scholars.